Almost every single marriage will go through difficult times, but the secret is finding out how to come out stronger on the other side. Here this morning with some great advice and to invite you to a special seminar coming up is Wes Furlong, lead pastor at Cape Christian Fellowship. Good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's great to
We've
be back.
missed you. It's been a while. So this is pretty interesting, and I think it's so true that I don't care how good your marriage is, I think they're all bound to hit some rough spots, some rough patches, right? Yeah. So we're not alone.
No, it's really the challenges we face aren't that unique. It's really how we walk through them and really navigate some of those tough patches.
What are some of those common mistakes that you see that couples make? And I know there's a few of them.
Yeah, I think of it like landmines. I mean, when you get to those passages, it's like how you walk is so important. And some of the landmines to avoid are things like toxic emotions. You know, emotions like shame or fear or resentment, bitterness. I mean, if we allow those to seep in us too much, they become like jet fuel, fueling our decisions. I mean, toxic emotions are something to avoid. You know, when it comes to fear, we fear things we know, we fear things we don't know.
Oh, and Lord, isn't that the truth? Fear things you don't know. And
yeah, and I mean, your mind just kind of, when you're in those panic modes, things are out of control, and so our reaction is to grasp control. I mean, we want tighter control. And all of these, you know, I think all of these lead to the problem of making decisions. Like when you're in these moments, the worst things that you can do is to make life-altering decisions to say, I can't keep going like this, I need to get out. And so you make these decisions. And
so what do you say to couples then that are ready to call it quits and ready to say, okay, I'm ready to hang it up?
Yeah, I mean, one, we just try to say that there's three phases right now. I mean, and it may be that your marriage, as you know it, needs to die. I mean, you may be right. I mean, this, as you know it, what's going on, you can't go on like this forever. But that's not the same thing as to say that you should be getting divorced, right? I mean, so what we say is there's three stages to walk through. One is first stabilization. Stop the downward spirals. You know, just forget life-altering decisions, forget the future, just stabilize. Stabilize. And then go through a period of forgiveness, of figuring out what has been happening up to this point that we need to deal with and bring.
Is that the hardest step, you think?
It's not a one-time thing. It's a process. and it's hard because you have to face each other and you have to face the truth. You have to bring what's in darkness into the light. But to be able to walk through a process of forgiveness can bring you to a place where you can look objectively a little bit more at the future and say, you know, can we do this? And a lot of times if couples will walk through that process, the answer is yes.
Okay. And then that last step, did we get to because it's stabilize, forgiveness?
And then reconciliation. That really deals with the question of the future. Is, you know, it may be that things in the past really do need to change and things need to flatline, but now what does the future hold? And it really can be a new marriage can emerge out of the ash heap of what's happened.
Well, and I love that you said, you know, a lot of people, I think couples do think, okay, my marriage is not working, but they automatically assume that they have to go to divorce. But yeah, maybe your marriage isn't working, but there's certainly a different way you can go about your marriage. So just, I love that idea of thinking that way, of changing that way of thinking. Talk about some research that was done here that I found fascinating, you were telling me about, and when people kind of maybe chose the divorce route and then did not.
It's extraordinary. So the National Survey of Households followed thousands of couples who ranked their marriages the lowest possible ranking. I mean, they say, we couldn't be more miserable than we are right now. And the only thing they did was follow them for 5 years. And they found that 78% of the people who ranked their marriages as a 1 on a scale from 1 to 5, 78% that stayed with it ranked their marriages as a top 4 or 5, happily married 5 years later. And, you know, a lot of people have been trying to figure out why this is, but the moral is if you stick it through, either you'll be able to accept some things, things will change on their own, you can change some things, and the combination therein really, and you just, when you're in the moment, you can't see that. And so that's...
And people assume that when you divorce, you're just going to be that much happier. But you were saying you're maybe giving up some challenges, but you're taking on, you know, a lot more others.
Yeah, there was no correlation in these studies of divorce with a higher likelihood of happiness.
Wow.
Because you trade off some things, but you bring on a whole other lot of stresses.
Well, we have a minute left here, and there is a great event coming up at your church. I'm so excited that this one particular gentleman is going to be here. People can hear him speak. Tell us about who is coming. This is big.
It is, yeah. We're excited. We're bringing Dr. Gary Chapman in, who has written the 5 Love Languages and a lot of other great books.
That's probably one of the most popular books, I think written on marriages and love.
Yeah, and it's helpful. It gives couples kind of, and we tend to give what we like to receive. And
Yeah.
he kind of gives a paradigm saying, actually, we need to love each other as they need to be loved, and find out how to do that. And yeah, it's a great tool. And so we're bringing him in for a marriage.
Is he going to talk about that book in particular, or what's his kind of series going to be focusing on?
Yeah, the conference is called Stronger. And so
Okay.
he's going to look at the traits of marriages that create strength. And so it's going to be a lot of encouragement, a lot of looking at here some foundational
Should any
principles.
couples, no matter where, if
Yes.
they're wanting to call it quits, or if they are happily, you know, living their happily ever after right now, would you encourage all couples to
I
go?
would, across the whole spectrum of saying we're going to give this one last ditch effort to newlywed couples who are just starting and want a strong foundation. So.
Well, let's break down. We got to wrap it up. But here are the prices. So it's $50 per couple, $30 just for, I guess, is that one
individual?
Okay, individual. And then there's the $60 VIP. So you'll get a chance to maybe meet them and
meet them. Yeah, have some food, but hang out beforehand. So 5 o'clock is the VIP event, and then 7 o'clock is the conference.
And this is a Thursday night, by the way.
Thursday
I want
night.
to let people know about that. But it is coming up. And then there's a special offer as well. So
yeah,
how is this gonna
$5
work?
off for people that are watching the show. If
Perfect.
they can go on the website, strongermarriageconference.com, and put Morning Blend on there.
Perfect. I know people will not be disappointed. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on the show and
Thanks,
to tell us
Carly.
about it. And again, this is very fascinating. Change the way how you're thinking, and it can do a lot, Wes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We look forward to having you back.
Okay, thanks,
All right,
Carly.
we'll send it over to Steph.
Do you or someone you know find themselves unhappy with your healthcare providers? Up next, how patient care might be improving based on the results of a new survey.